Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of How Did This Get Booked? I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning, and I am a veteran of the professional wrestling business for over a decade, and I've held every single job except selling popcorn. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Zane. Zane, how are you doing today? Looks like you came from a Knights game, maybe
I did not.
HeroCon.
I came from HeroCon, actually.
Okay, all right. You doing well? You came in with a purpose today.
Wish I had set up a merch table. I was a little over today.
Okay.
Could have sold some things, maybe a shirt.
Well, I mean, the Stro was there selling his wares.
The Stro was there?
Yeah, I saw him yesterday.
Oh, man, I missed the Stro.
Okay. Well, but somebody has to say that.
Yeah. Fucking Stro. Papa's home.
But anyway.
Did he have his t-shirts?
Yes, his t-shirts.
With his clip art and his super pixelated skeleton with a cowboy hat on?
Yep.
Yep, good.
Good. All right. But we are joined, as always, by a non-wrestling fan. We are joined by comedian, doctor as well, Andrew Van. Andrew, thank you so much for jumping in. Andrew, the local Charlotte comedy scene, very new to it, but intelligent individual, an actual doctor. An actual doctor.
Or like a doctor, like Dr. Pepper's a doctor?
No, like a real doctor.
Oh, wow, like a PhD. What is your field of study?
Medical doctor.
Oh.
Yeah, I suffered through medical school. They tried to kick me out. They couldn't quite get me out.
Sons of bitches.
I prescribe weed to people.
Oh! Can we cut this off for just a minute? I gotta see a doctor about a pain.
But no, you played
at
UNC State. Did I get that right?
Yeah, North Carolina State.
Yeah. Also football player.
Oh,
as well.
yeah.
So like,
and tall as shit.
Yeah,
World's tallest doctor.
You have definitely set the world record. Well, at least the podcast record for on my podcast. You're the tallest guy.
Tallest guy. Welcome.
Hands down.
And most educated, I believe. Being a doctor.
Man. Too much Adderall.
Yeah. I think you're overqualified for this.
Well, that's part of the reason why I bring my intelligent individual, a funny man, guy I love talking to all the time, very intellectual, willing to open his mind up to new things, and that's why
drugs and
this podcast is ideal for him.
Medicine.
Especially specifically the show we're going to be watching today. Before we get there today, Andy, what's your experience with professional wrestling before I made you watch the particular wrestling show that we're discussing today?
So my family moved to Charlotte when I was 6 years old, and wrestling was big here. So I was a Lex Lugar fan, huge fan. He went to my Foxcroft East swim club. So I saw him with his redneck chick, oh my god, I've seen him on TV, long glowing hair, just
Yeah.
So my brother and I were just stoked buying magazines, and then we just kind of died out. I don't know. For 5 years I was a fan. But I just kind of I don't watch much TV, dude. I was full in on football, and then I'm just kind of, I'm like, man.
Well,
I'm going surfing
can
or
you
something.
nail down maybe why you just were not that interested in pro wrestling at all? I mean, because you could have made $1 million doing it. So
$1 million, goddamn. Yeah.
Yeah, you missed the boat. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're making $1 million writing weed prescriptions.
Yeah, there was, I don't know. Yeah, it was I don't know. I had a path ahead of me, kind of with my family maybe or something.
Were they all doctors?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got 4 uncles in the family. My dad, his dad.
Was it frowned upon at all?
Wrestling, no, it wasn't, the carpool wasn't going there. There was no, it wasn't there was no opportunity. That road was never that was cut off the TV,
Yeah.
Maybe it was Super Mario. Who knows?
Far better worker Captain Albano was.
Well, yeah, we played.
This is true. All right. Well, I'm always curious what people's perceptions with it and stuff like that, because sometimes it just doesn't penetrate people's lives. For me, it barely penetrated my own, because growing up in Iowa, we only got the syndicated show, WWF Superstars, and it was always on during church hours, but it would float around. Sometimes it would disappear. Sometimes it would reappear. I'm guessing it's Vince McMahon would just pay 3 months for it to run when he was showing up to Davenport, and then he would disappear again and then reappear. Because I remember it not being on very regularly, and I couldn't get access to it, and it was happening in a faraway place somewhere. And then if it wasn't until I got here, oh yeah, we've had wrestling around the street, around the corner for.
There's probably a wrestling show right now.
Yeah, that I would definitely for sure be happy
Yeah.
right now. And we're in Iowa. There's still no perception. Also, too, SmackDown, because we didn't have the CW network where I was from, the CBS affiliate would have to buy syndicated rights for SmackDown to run, but it would run Friday night at like 11 p.m. after the news. So sometimes, even as a high schooler, I would have to stay up late to watch SmackDown on Friday night opposed to Thursday night.
Yeah.
So that's my experience with it. But yeah, sometimes it doesn't penetrate people's lives. So I'm always curious how
we
how
were
people
huge fans back in the day. I don't know what happened, man. It's kind of upsetting.
But that's the thing. Like, I think there's a lot of people
that
that
basketball or something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I think people were fans as kids and they just kind of trail off. So I don't know what is. I'm always curious what is the thing that causes people to wander off into the distance. But as we wander off into the distance of this podcast, let's just discuss the show that we are discussing today. It is the classic, because not all the time do all the shows have to be bad here on this program.
No.
They just mostly have to.
Because this show wasn't.
No,
really.
this is actually, as I was telling Andy before, this is actually like a classic show. This is like a pivotal thing. This is something that people, traded the tapes of for years. People talked about how fantastic and how awesome it was. But it's interesting to take a look back at it, and as well as somebody who's got a very limited exposure to professional wrestling, to throwing this type of show right in your face. Which the show that we were discussing today is the IWA Japan King of the Deathmatch Tournament, which actually was named at one point in time Kurosawa Dream, because it was taking place at the Kurosawa Baseball Stadium on August 20th, 1995. Some interesting points about the Kurosawa Stadium is that between the years of 1952 and 2003, its capacity was 30,000 people. Then they renovated it in 2004, and now it has a capacity of 2,700.
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
Say that number again.
They had 30,000 seats.
Yeah.
Then they renovated it, and they only
yeah.
had 2,700.
What?
What order?
Luxury boxes, like
They showed a picture of it. It's about the size of a high school football stadium right now.
Jesus.
So,
What do they put in all the places of it? Everybody just gets like lay back chairs and.
Only in Japan would you renovate a stadium to make it smaller. So
because they knew they weren't drawing anything bigger than the Kawasaki Dream.
Well, that's the thing. The deathmatch tournament. What would you guess would be the attendance on?
They
this?
said 30,000 at one point.
But that's the capacity of the stadium.
Okay.
I'm thinking that a third might be a little too generous.
Yeah.
8,000 might be a little generous, but that's feasible.
Around there, under 10, but over 5.
Yes, for sure 5.
Because they would show shots of like the stadiums, and like there would be like the empty like corners, but then they would kind of give a pan to
everything hard camera side.
Yeah, it was pretty full. It looked good.
Yeah. Well, like nighttime. You think more people show up at night? Maybe. I mean, it looked hot during the day.
Yeah, probably more so
like,
that it was.
People were like fanning themselves and shit. Like,
well, that's another thing too. Is like this was like an all day fucking event. So.
It was culture. It was fun to watch that. People, you know, waiting outside and like, man, they don't have any weed to smoke or anything.
Yeah, they do.
They're wrestling fans, dude. They don't. I'm like, what's going on here?
But IWA, give you a little bit of information about IWA Japan, because as always, I do too much research for this podcast. IWA Japan was founded by Victor Quiones, Puerto Rican legend, manager, talent exchange, talent booker. Like, he was always a guy that was, help out guys that like to help them get tours and connect them with promoters in the States. And he's actually got a very note that I found on his Wikipedia page. He called, when Bruiser Brody was stabbed, the night he was stabbed, they couldn't get an ambulance. He called the radio station in Puerto Rico to put out a broadcast saying they needed an ambulance at the stadium for Bruiser Brody. And an ambulance driver was sitting at a restaurant and heard that and came to the arena and got Bruiser Brody.
I'm going to pick up Bruiser Brody.
So, like, essentially, if Bruiser Brody would have survived, Victor Quiones would have been the man who saved him.
The man who saved his life.
But
he didn't survive.
He didn't survive.
He died.
Stabbed during a match?
No, he got stabbed in the bathroom after.
It was an altercation.
Jesus Christ.
With another...
Yeah.
With some people, it's a big conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's a big to do a story of professional wrestling of a guy being kind of a bully, and then a smaller guy taking revenge upon him and using a knife to do so.
Yes.
And then just letting him bleed out in a locker room shower.
And another wrestler that saw the whole thing go down but won't say anything.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
There's probably a dozen or so of
Yeah.
those. But also, Kiyona's basically found a sponsor for IWA Japan, who was actually a owner of restaurants in Tokyo. IWA Japan is a spin-off from Wing, which was also a spin-off from FMW. That's why you see a lot of FMW guys being on the show, as well as, Wing guys as well. And of course, Kiyona's, he's had all these connections. He's very much a guy that could connect, Memphis guys or Americans with Puerto Ricans, with Japanese guys, with luchadors from Mexico, and he just would bring them all to Japan or bring them all to Puerto Rico, and he was known for that. And some people like Taka Michinoku inspires him as being the guy that helped him start Kai-En-Tai Dojo. Kei Nomura talks about being stranded in America with $20 in his pocket, and Kiyona's was the guy that helped him out and gave him some money to survive, basically. And then also Tajiri considered him a mentor, and Tajiri actually wrestled a dark match on this particular show. So nothing but good things to say about Kiyona's, but I'm sure I've heard a lot of seedy rumors about him.
Oh, I hope
which
so.
I most certainly don't want to claim any slander on a podcast, but let's just say he's no saint. But he definitely could have been a priest.
Yeah.
So that's all I'll say.
Damn.
That's all I'll say.
Ladies and
about
gentlemen,
that.
the comedy never stops.
We gotta tell some jokes right here.
What's a dark match?
Basically, a dark match is a match that happens before the cameras turn.
Okay, cool.
So it's not like two black guys wrestling each other.
Oh,
It's a common misconception.
turn the lights out, like,
So
they glow in the dark.
they turn all the lights on.
It's only TV dark. But Andy, like I said, very humble beginnings as a wrestling fan, and then I dump the King of the Death match on you. What were your initial thoughts at looking at it? Just your broad thoughts about this show.
So, like, it blew my mind, dude. Totally blew my mind. You
Not
know?
Lex Lugar here, huh?
I was like, I had seen The Wrestler, the movie.
Yeah.
But that was the only time I'd seen, like, craziness, like, staples and fucking barbed wire and shit. So I'm like, what, these guys look nuts. Like, I was like, holy cow, they're putting on a show. I'm like, first of all, they're like, I don't know, just the whole Japanese thing. I'm like, they must.
See, that's
It's
that's
a
another
cultural
thing.
deal.
That's
Yeah,
another
it was
thing
like-
too that I find very interesting about like the deathmatch stuff in Japan. Like culturally, there's this weird thing going on that I've always wondered if it translates or not. Like sometimes people like talk about the psychology of Japanese matches being weird, and then you throw on top of the psychology of hardcore wrestling and using stuff. Like I think it even gets maybe weirder than like because there's like multiple moments during some of these matches where I'm like, I have no idea why they just did that.
Yeah.
No clue. No. I don't know why you did that. And I'm sure we'll bring those down point by point. But we started off with a nice little intro video with people, like, all the contestants in the tournament going to the ring. And I feel like we need to talk about it because everybody had a very unique entrance. Like, Tiger Jeet Singh came in on, like,
The cage.
the undersized Pope Mobile. We had Terry Funk riding in on a horse.
Yeah, man.
On the one horse that's in
Fucker,
Japan.
yeah. Well, they had to get that horse in there.
Yeah.
Like, they had to import a horse.
Where is it?
Who do you import a horse from in Japan? That thing made its way to the Riviera after that, I bet you.
Cactus Jack with a barbed wire like cross.
Yeah, which never came back to play.
Never.
Yeah.
Minus just being leaned up against the wall.
Uh-huh.
That's what I wanted to see, like a real Jesus Christ Superstar moment where this son of a bitch gets crucified on him.
And then Leatherface running through the crowd with a chainsaw.
brilliant.
Like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I hope I'm saying it right. I think this is one of the few. I think I got most of these names correct, but there's a few Japanese names that we might
Fuck up real bad.
Fuck up real bad. But the one that brings up to my mind during this whole sequence, everybody's got like miniature Pope Mobile, barbed wire cross, a horse, and Nakamaki just is out there walking his dog.
Some guys, I got two things to do today.
Like he,
Roll
like,
into one.
and he's not like walking around like, oh, this is my vicious dog. He's just like walking. You're like, all right, you gonna poop already?
This is my Pomeranian. You guys ready to fucking fight?
He might as well have like a little plastic bag in his
man.
hand.
That'd have been great.
Oh yeah,
Which would have been super hardcore. That dog shits and he holds that bag full of shit for a while. Mm-hmm. Pops on that dude's head.
But jumping right into it, we're gonna get right into it. Match number 1, barbed wire board / chain match versus Tiger Jeet Singh and Mr. Gansunuka. I believe it Gensuke. I always pronounce it Gensuke.
Yeah.
So,
I love Tiger. Man.
He's fucked up, man.
Tiger
He's
was
fucked up, man.
Tiger. Like half the time I was like, man, you know this real shit's fake. He needs to calm fuck down.
yeah.
He's killing people.
Well, see, here's the thing with Tiger. Here's the story on him. And I think I was trying to. That's why I kind of like clicked there for a second. I was buffering for a second.
Yeah.
That's what is Tiger. He was like a legend in Japan.
Yeah.
And partly because he had this wonderful feud with Inoki, which started with him having a fight with him at a shopping mall.
Like a real fight?
Yeah, I think knowing Tiger and Inoki, I'm pretty sure it was set up.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to do this angle, you're just going to come in, we're going to get in a fight at a shopping mall, because it led to a feud in New Japan. And actually, Inoki broke his arm.
Tiger's arm or broke his own arm?
Tiger's. And then they traded titles a couple of times, but like Tiger was like a big deal in Japan.
And his son, who was his son?
Tiger Ali's son.
Okay.
Because Tiger Jeet Singh, Tiger Ali.
He was signed for a minute, wasn't he?
He was for WWE.
Yeah.
So for a short period of time there, but yeah.
Fucking maniac.
Yeah, using the fencing sword.
Yeah.
But I love how he has a sword, but he's just using the handle to beat the shit out of people.
And
Flooding it,
then like the tip of the sword had like tape on it. Or had like the fencing blocker. Like
Safety first.
Hey man,
Safety first.
You never know.
You could run somebody through with that thing.
Yeah,
like,
you
for real,
could-
just run through the crowd.
You
and
would
shit.
get real hardcore. Stab that man.
Yeah.
This match should have lasted 5 seconds.
I know,
It ended
right?
in murder.
But they had the fight everywhere, and apparently there's 2 rings set up,
Yeah.
which is even crazier. What's your like I said, all you know is Lex Lugar showing up at your pool, and now you're seeing this. What are your thoughts, Andy?
What a show! I mean, these people waited for this, and they're grabbing chairs, they're just like walking around. Oh, there's a crusty old bagel. I'm gonna hit him with that. Just like whatever. I was like, damn, they can just do that like that. And I was like, oh yeah, if you just hurt somebody and they can't get back in the ring, then they lose, right? You get like 30 seconds or something. So I'm like, oh man, like the dude in the jeans, like he had the greatest mullet. Like, and I didn't realize like they're like just the whole wrestle, like picking people up by the hair and shit. I was like, oh wow, that mullet comes in handy. Like,
Yeah.
It's a handle.
yeah.
That's I can't think of the word. That's a handicap to that person with the mullet. Just come back here.
Fuck yeah.
Other than a social handicap.
Yeah.
Or-
Wow. Come on now. 95, you can probably still rock one and be okay.
Yeah, 95 wrestling.
probably-
you could,
yeah,
yeah,
you can do
especially
it.
if you're
You can do it.
involved in wrestling, you're probably
Cheers
gonna say
2017, Ricky Morton's still living proud.
95. Hey,
They're biting and shit. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I forgot. I'd never seen anything like it, honestly. I'd never seen a hardcore match for real, so it was my first,
First,
I've
this
seen-
was your
yeah.
first rodeo.
Yeah, for real, man.
I've seen a few, and I still thought Tiger Jeet was fucking nuts. Like, oh, God. This is like real. This shit's insane.
Well, he's got
And it only gets better as far as shit goes.
Yeah, and I love how like they beat the shit out of each other in one ring. They go to the other ring, and they're like, okay, now we're gonna wrestle like regular.
So so I guess one ring was set up for hardcore, and the other was set up for like the non-hardcore matches. That way, like Dan Severn wouldn't get a fucking thumbtack in him.
No. Dan Severin still wrestled in that main ring.
Okay.
I think that was more of a situation.
Well, I guess different. Each of them had different stipulations, so they could set one up on
And
the other.
different
was going.
weapons.
Yeah.
Because that was very close to the people.
Yeah.
You don't want to have like the explosions or the other stuff that's going on so close to the people, where you're doing some of the crazier stuff in the middle of the ring, which got a little bit of buffer around it. I'm guessing that's why that's going on that way. But still, it's fucking nuts that there's 2 rings and they just go over.
Just kicking ass.
They just beat the shit out of each other, go to the other ring, and go back. Like, it's just fucking crazy. Like, I forgot how nuts this whole fucking show is.
And like this show actually, as far as the hardcore stuff goes, actually builds an intensity, which is very rare in a hardcore show, a hardcore match. Like, this one's nuts, but the next is even crazier. The one after that's even crazier.
Yeah.
Not just everyone's going balls to the wall the entire time. Not Connor Claxton dropping off a truck onto a barbed wire trampoline. Have you seen that yet?
I've heard about it.
Ooh, Bubba. I'll show you the picture in a little bit. It's awesome.
But that's what I was trying to explain to my girlfriend about this whole show, is that, there's been crazier stuff that's happened at deathmatch tournaments. Like, as deathmatch tournaments as a whole, I feel like they've kind of eclipsed this one, but I think there's some certain things to the idea of building and telling a story with each one of these. that have been lost out a lot on the era of let's do like the really cool spot that I'm going to be remembered for forever, and pushing the violence in every one of the rounds of the tournament. I think there's a little bit of storytelling that sometimes gets left out just for the shock value of it. But at the same time too, that's what those are designed for. Exactly. So that's just how it is. But this match happened. It beat the fucking and Mr. Ganasku, Mr. G. Mullet guy. I used to be able to say his name properly because I did a Hayabusa set, and he had a big feud with Hayabusa, which culminated in a match where Shawn Michaels refereed it. As
like,
weird as that
all
sounds.
Good matches end.
Exactly. But yeah, got his ass kicked very early in his career. Just loved him screaming shit. Yeah. As he's washing his face off in the sink.
I love that everyone was kind of cussing in these promos, but no one really knew what was being said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of fucks.
Oh, a whole bunch. Especially from our next competitor, Terry Funk.
Wow.
With the sit-down little interview. Which
was a really weird interview. That was a really bizarre interview because it was just so calm and collective. He didn't call anybody his mother a whore.
Yeah.
I was like, did this guy take Xanax or something? He had a gleam in his mind. He was like, this guy, what the fuck?
Because you just saw a bunch of violence. You know that this guy's going to have to go out there and do something.
He's this nice-looking old man.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to go fish with him or something.
Yeah, so my granddaddy.
Chill,
He makes really good sweet tea.
Yeah.
I'll tell you just got to have a considerable amount of luck. If you're going to do this, and there can only be one king of a country.
Everyone that's not is peasants, and they'll be forgotten in time.
Like, he's saying some hardcore stuff, but it's so soft.
Yeah. And to get even weirder, Leatherface's fucking promo was even more nice.
Yeah, he's like, all respect.
Yeah. Ain't no man great on this god green earth than old Terry Funk. But he's wearing like a mask of skin.
Yeah,
and holding a chainsaw, but
you're inspired by Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you're like, you know what? Nice guy. Like, I would love to make a belt out of nipples of his for him. Like, any day, all day.
I would kill a real pretty woman to make him a skin suit.
What is going through his head? Like, I was like, what is going through his head when he's talking, doing that interview with that mask on?
Who was Leatherface?
I believe Corporal Kirshner, if I was not mistaken. He had a short run in Stampede Wrestling. I think there was a discrepancy of him possibly breaking into people's bags. And I think there was also a story where he was almost shot by Johnny Smith. Once again, don't want to commit slander on a podcast, but those are some of the stories I've heard about Corporal Kirshner.
What do they say? Rumor and innuendo?
Yeah, exactly.
Of that?
Match number 2. Also a barbed wire board chain match, but they actually use a chain this time.
Yeah.
Terry Funk was nice enough to get chained to it at one point in time, which Leatherface got a fucking chainsaw. He hit fucking Terry Funk with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Like,
pistol whipped a man with a chainsaw.
Minute one.
I was going to say, like, at the front.
Yeah.
Didn't even build that chainsaw. Motherfucker, I got a chainsaw in my hand.
Yeah. And they're climbing the fence at one point in time.
Yeah.
Crazy, dude.
Which a fence was made out of wood. You could see it bending.
Oh, dude.
Like, Terry Funk wasn't lying. We need a little bit of luck. But you need a little bit of luck just to survive this fucking
just for this fence.
Yeah, that thing could have broke. He could have been dead.
Like,
it could have been
hanging the dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they were like, it was.
It would have just slipped and like, oh shit, now he's dead.
Like, it was just fucking all over the place and just nuts, crazy, fun. What were some of your reactions, Andy?
Well, it's funny that the Japanese crowds usually for like matches though, people aren't crazy, but like I want to know what people are yelling, like grab him by the tits, Terry, like in Japanese, like what is he saying?
Because like at hardcore tournaments, like now people are saying like punch him in the vag or something stupid, stupid like that. So you can only imagine like hardcore fans in Japan are saying like how dark are they making it?
Yeah. Dishonor his family by killing him. And this is also where we get to meet the ever popular, ever legendary Japanese table that never breaks.
Oh, dude, that was a hardcore table, man.
That
table looks fucked up.
Or he gives Leatherface a little fucking push off the top, and he was supposed to go through the table. He just basically splashes the table and bounces off the table.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
like Japanese tables are notorious for not breaking. Like in
Yeah.
America, like we're known for breaking tables, you know. But apparently,
Not in
Japanese
Japan.
make stuff to last.
Really?
Most specifically tables.
Yeah.
Like,
You'll
So
notice
you got
there's a couple.
do a different fall then. I mean, like, holy shit, man. You got to, like, pull up a little. You can't put your, I mean.
Well, they do a couple more table spots here later in the show, and none of those fuckers break either.
yeah. Like grown ass fucking men.
Yeah, that's a grown ass table right there. The table's made of an oak tree.
But yeah, this match was great.
Yeah,
It just
it was good.
a fucking spectacle beginning to end. Terry Funk has another after the match promo.
Where he gets way more Terry Funk.
Yeah, just a little bit more Terry Funkish. But then we also see a pre-match promo for Cactus Jack. Andy, this is your first interaction with Cactus Jack. What are your thoughts?
Man, he's taking a lot of acid. I mean, that dude is fucking gone. I was like, holy shit. It was great. I loved the theater of it. And he was just like, you don't talk to Terry Funk. He's like so in his head and so like in care. I just couldn't believe it, dude. Yeah, and I Googled the guy and I was
Now,
like,
do you know who he is today?
He's like a writer. I mean, he's
a comedian. He's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, he did stand-up shows.
He's a Santa Claus.
Yeah, he does. He's very big into like dressing up as Santa Claus and doing stuff like that. But he also appears in WWE from time to time. I think he's still the commissioner.
Yeah, I think he is on
of
Raw.
Yeah, commissioner on Raw. I just saw him this past weekend. Nicest individual ever met in your life.
Yeah, I love him at first sight. I mean,
very lucid, stuff like that. But when he did this character, when he did Cactus Jack, like
Shit
it was
real.
Yeah,
cowboy boots.
Yeah,
kicking people with boots on shit.
but also too, the thing that I always find ingenious about his promos is his understanding of where the camera is. Like the idea of if I get in real close, that creates a shadow, and I know to be just far enough away that all you can see is the shadow casting over my eyes. So you see the one eye, but then all the darkness on the side.
Yeah.
That's like the level of directing in a promo that makes him far above everybody else. But and then they go to Terry Gordy, and he's just like, I'm gonna fuck her up.
And I'm gonna do what I just said.
That's exactly right. And I do love how the pairings break down.
This is my favorite match on the whole show.
Really?
Because it's just so fucking weird to see Terry Gordy in a goddamn death match.
Yeah, but I think that it's the recognizing of that, like, because he doesn't end up taking a lot of the hardcore stuff, but Mick takes a lot of that punishment, and he knows.
He takes one, and I think that's the finish.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He knows where to put himself and knows how to build the match, and we're going to tease it and make it look like you don't even really recognize it. And I have to say, like, every one of Cactus Jack's matches, like, there's always a little story going on to the build. Like, the whole build of getting thrown into, like, the thumbtacks and then teasing that, but then, like, the spot of going into the bulldog, and then the spot of, like, putting your head directly on the tacks so you can take the stomp, and then they're stuck on his head.
Those fucking stomps were so mean looking. Like, it's like Terry Gordy's like, fuck it, I'm tired. Head stomp.
Yeah.
Put your teeth on the curb. Head stomp.
But it's just the way that you knew where to put. Like, were you picking up on like the storytelling of each one of the things? Like, there's this little term, we're gonna build to this, or we're gonna get to that. It wasn't just violence. Like, did you see kind of the build of that, Andy?
I mean, I didn't know I didn't know what was coming next, but there was something that was. I mean, it was. I didn't know if they were gonna do all in one day. Like, it turns out this dude's gonna have 3 matches, or so. I was just blown away.
This is the first show where the match where you actually see them tease like this bed of tacks. But there's a moment they're getting ready to do, and they do the really edge of a cliff moment. And then like a whole bunch of reversals to kind of get out of the way of the path of the thumbtacks. That kind of stuff. So it made more. It was a bigger deal when it finally happened.
Because you could hear the people go, okay. And that's the true fun of it, you know, is making that.
So it's not usually. Sometimes it's just like they go do it, and it's like, bam, they did it. Look what they did.
Away,
play the replays.
Yeah.
Okay. No, they build up nice.
But this one was they tease it a whole lot, and they do a lot. They do some more of it later, but. Teased a bunch of it here.
And there's enough violence. I mean, like, Cactus Jack takes a pile driver
on that table that won't break!
Like,
the return to Japanese table? Yeah.
Cactus Jack is probably about 300 pounds at this moment in time. And Terry Gordy, at least close to that. And that's like 600 pounds that came crashing down on a table that didn't budge.
They did not give a shit.
That just gives you an idea of like.
And we also see some of the nastiest power bombs.
Oh, fuck those power
Terry
bombs.
Gordy on the.
Oh.
Was the power where he had him in his had him between his legs and he flipped him up onto his shoulders and but he could never get him up, so he was just kind of like bringing him out and just dropping him on his head basically.
Cactus couldn't get the other guy?
No, the other guy couldn't get Cactus up.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there was so much going on.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough for me.
But yeah, it was just he just kept getting dropped, and that's the thing too. They kept taking bumps onto the thumbtacks, but there was like this lip.
Yeah.
Like to me, the lip of the board where the tacks
hurts.
were, that was gonna hurt more than the actual tacks.
Yeah.
You know, because you want a nice flat surface, and like the tacks are already gonna suck it as is. But if you're gonna have this board that's sticking up by an inch or two, like that's gonna hurt way worse.
This is just legit tacks.
Yeah,
they're
just
they're tacks.
Yeah,
just go to a Walmart, and dump them in a bucket. There you go.
Yeah,
made.
God. I wasn't sure if they were puffer fish spines or like they should have one angle, and I'm like, what the fuck is that, man?
We'll get into it because you're a doctor. When you've now seen people do this type of violence to themselves, you as a doctor, what is your biggest concern? Like, oh, you're doing this to your spine, or you're doing this to your neck. What,
it's the spine shit, dude. Yeah. Because I've hung out with a lot of people with brain injuries and spinal cord injuries. You know, I did physical medicine and rehab, which is basically like, oh, you break your neck, like you gotta like go like this the rest of your life, and like someone's gotta take care of you, and like. You know, you can't do anything but this and this. So I'm just like, oh my God, dude. Like, how are these guys not breaking their necks? Like the crazy acrobatic ones where they're like, they jump off and it's like legs around the head and then like flip over. Oh, he flipped him. Oh, no, he flipped him. Oh, he flipped him. Like,
so it's more like the spinal thing.
It's the spinal shit. Yeah, I'm like, you know, that shit's that little fucking
that's
little wire running down your. Yeah, I'm always. That and head trauma. I mean, you know. Your leg bends around a pole or something, you can get some plates in it. Shit's gonna hurt the rest of your life, but like at least you can still like go like this and yeah.
You feel your own.
So that's what I'm always like. Oh fuck! But then I mean, just the crazy pain of. I guess it is the spinal shit that I'm most worried about. Yeah, just might fly off some shit.
Yeah, because like this.
There's no coming back from that. Yeah, there's not a
Absolutely.
But right now, who knows? Like the people do awesome shit, and I think we live in a time where it's like. What is going to happen between machines and humans? Who knows? Like
stem cells, and we're going to come more like cyborgs someday, and we like get robotic bodies and stuff like that. Like actually, I think at HeroCon they had one of those military things that chairs with. Yeah, those chairs where they morph into like a robot. Like they had one of those. Yeah,
they had the all-terrain ones where like it was like a normal seated wheelchair, but it had like tank tread where you could go over.
So, but we're not there yet. But we are at match number 4 against Nakamaka and Hiroshi Ono. Excuse me. Ono I know because Sonny Ono. Also, barbed wire bat thumbtack match. Just no sell that fucking bat right away.
Just now, was this like a student-teacher kind of thing, I assume?
I think Ono was kind
one
of
them was like, I don't give a fuck what you're doing. I'm not going to sell a bit of it, but I'm going to beat the shit out of you.
Yeah, I think Ono is kind of the younger boy in this situation. Yeah. But, like, they fucking just straight up hit each other with baseball bats covered in barbed wire. Like, even if it was just a baseball bat across, it would have hurt. Yeah. But it's wrapped in barbed wire. They hit each other as hard as they could. And, like, fuck this. And then threw it down. And then we're going to the other ring now.
And he, like, it was like power bomb kick out. Suplex, kick out, right? All on the thumbtacks.
Oh, yeah.
A barrage of move, kick out, move, kick out, move, kick out.
Oh, yeah. It bulldog into a belly to back, back into a crossbody. It just like, just fucking throwing each other around. But I just like how they got the... But that's what I was talking about, like the weirdness of the psychology of it. Let's pick up this barbed wire baseball bat, hit each other as hard as we can. Your turn. Now let's lock up for 2 minutes. Yeah. Like how?
Now let's slow it down, brother.
Sadistic, but it was awesome. I mean, those guys looked like they could fuck somebody up. I mean, they looked like the best. I mean, I played some judo and brown belt, but those guys, I'm scared shitless of those dudes. Those are solid dudes. I mean, you're not fucking hurting that guy. Yeah. You don't care, like.
I'm gonna kick you as hard as I can.
You
don't give a shit.
You don't give a shit.
Anything else we can say about this match before we close out the first
My
round?
favorite part of this match when it was over And the guy that won just goes, "Fuck you, stand up." And then he goes, "Fuck you, stand up." And he stands up and they hug at that point. My favorite thing. "Fuck you, stand up."
Wait, was that Japanese or?
No, he said it in English.
Oh wow.
That's another thing too. Is there's a lot of speculation that Japanese wrestlers speak fluent English, but they keep that secret.
Yeah.
So that way they can be in a room with Americans that are talking in English, and be like, "Oh, I don't understand," maybe, then, yeah. Especially if
When they don't want to do the job.
That's another speculation too.
when they don't want to lose. Or
Yeah.
just pretend like they don't understand what you're saying.
So they make it really hard to like put the match
To
together.
work, yeah.
And like, maybe no so much.
Yeah.
But then if like they
No
go,
job.
but then when they're going over, like, oh, I do moonsault, do this, it's a little different that way.
What about me?
Well,
Yeah, man.
but now we're getting to the middle now.
Fuck you, stand up.
Fuck you, stand up. That's a motto for life, ladies.
That's good. That's a shirt right there. That's my shirt.
Fuck you, stand up.
Fuck you, stand up. The Zane Riley story. Put that on Lifetime.
Now we're kind of in the middle. This portion of it is clipped. It's supposed specifically match number 6, match number 5, and match number 6. Match number 5 was originally 17 minutes long.
Okay, I thought they went a lot shorter than...
Yeah. WWA light heavyweight title between Takaishi Akeono versus Flying Kid Ichihara. New chap is crowned. But this has got a lot more of the flips in it, Andy. This also tickle your fancy, or are you just
Oh,
stuck
the
it
hair
on?
was amazing, dude. I mean, these guys were looking good, man. I was like, holy fuck, dude. These guys... Yeah, that was badass.
Yeah.
Japanese Marty Jannetty over here.
I know, right?
I wanted more violence, though. I was like, well, okay, these guys can do some cool shit, but where's the blood?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I gotta dig into the violence quick. I was like, wow, there's no barbed wire. Fuck 'em.
Yeah.
You know?
You guys doing here. You dildos
It was
doing.
bored. You know, I got a little bored. I'm not gonna lie, you know. But...
Yeah, it's quite okay.
Yeah, because the point that we're here for blood.
We're here for the death match.
Yeah.
Andy's I'm already balls deep. He's already balls
Brother, I'm
deep.
already in.
no, it was...
But don't worry. Match number 6 is around the corner. That match, the match number 5 was originally 17 minutes, and that kind of moved along pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But then this next match is clipped, and it was originally 10 minutes long, heavily edited,
Super.
and it felt like that one went forever.
Yeah.
Like, Iceman and Kamikaze.
Yeah.
I don't know who these fucking guys are originally, but they are fucking awful. Like this match was just...
Get those young boys out there to beat the shit. They send them out there to clean up any of the extra thumbtacks that might be laying around.
Kind of like this past Friday when George South booked a show that rained earlier in the day, so the campus was all wet. So he booked me versus him later in the card, but then booked everybody who was fully clothed to have them go and wrestle before and soak up all the water on the canvas, so it'd be a little bit drier when we got out there. So
Smart, yeah.
But so Iceman's probably all covered in thumbtacks now to make sure that it's clear off in the ring. But yeah, I don't know what about Iceman's outfit says Iceman.
Nothing at all. As much as it says about Kamikaze, I believe.
Yeah,
I didn't really know who was who in this entire time.
I tried to look it up. I couldn't find out if it was anybody really. But even the Japanese crowd was laughing at this at some point in time, a couple of times.
These guys have masks on, yeah?
Yeah, these are the two masks.
Right. Yeah. And that also bored me too. I'm like, I want to see some face, man. Where's the face, you know? I don't know.
I just want to see some face, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody fucking kill somebody already, please.
Andy, big fan of faces in his pro wrestling match, and probably a fan of missionary positions. Judging from that statement, gotta see some face, man.
Right here, I need some eye contact.
I need
some mirror. Yeah.
Can we put that hair back? Another hair match. Round 2.
Round 2, match number 7, a barbed wire board and glass match with Tiger Jeet Singh and Terry Funk.
Fucking Tiger's a maniac.
I do like how Tiger had to use Cactus Jack in for the finish because he didn't want to put Terry over clean. He's one of those guys still I gotta stay strong in Japan. This is my country. Back. You know, because there's that politics going on.
Yeah.
Oh, like a clean win. There was some sort of drama with somebody else that came in, and that was bullshit.
I wouldn't have lost if this guy wouldn't have hit me.
I got you.
Little fuckery.
Yeah, so exactly.
So, but real rad, and then I loved that Terry comes out with the bandage on, And then when Tiger's like hitting him in the arm with the sword again, Terry starts punching himself in the forehead to get the blood flowing again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big fan of this match. Fun.
Yeah, it was real good.
My first thoughts were, dude, I can't believe that guy's wrestling again without taking a shower. I was like, that's fucking gross, man.
Not a shower break?
He looks so gross.
And he's gonna do it again?
And again, I was like, wow, okay, these guys are real.
This is how you switch around diseases.
Yes. This is very much prior to us like thinking about that at all. But Terry Funk's post match promo is my favorite thing in the whole world. And like where he's just like, I'll get it done if I can, if I can fucking do it. I believe I'll get it done if I can fucking do it. Like I just think of that line all the time. I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel after every match.
Yeah,
like that's how I feel about pro wrestling. Like if there was
right now,
instead of fuck you, stand up.
Fuck you, stand up. Yours is.
I'll get it done if I can fucking do it. That's how I feel. That's on my T-shirt. Just like I don't know if I can do it. But fuck if I can, you know. Like, too fucking down. Too fucking down. Like, just motto of my career. But just love it eternally.
It was short, quick.
Short, got
fuckery,
to.
Yep.
Missed the whole glass bump, so I think he just kind of fell on his butt and shattered some glass. But
whatever.
It's whatever.
He's about to get in an exploding ring. He'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll get it on the back end.
Yeah. Match number 8, barbed wire board and spike nail board match between Cactus Jack and Nakimaka.
So this shit was brutal.
Just
a flagrant throwing of a board with nails through it.
I think, as everybody considers, I think most people consider this match to be their favorite match of the tournament because it gets pretty violent. Like the spike board with the elbow drop on the apron is crazy.
All of that.
Just everything about it, and just the storytelling of the end and getting to it. But then you can kind of tell that they're having a language barrier as well. Like just trying to get him to do certain things. You can almost hear him like, "You do this," and you move it like this, and it's just putting him in the right place was a little difficult. But I think that kind of translate well.
Yeah, no, I was.
Made more real. It's like, these guys don't know what they're gonna do next.
Yeah,
they're just
everybody's unsafe here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like that's the thing you didn't know. I don't think he didn't know, and I didn't know, and like that's part of the danger of it. And like I've only really wrestled one person that had a couple of people that had like kind of a language barrier. But I remember wrestling in Austria one time with a guy whose main language was not English, and I remember a few things being weird, and I was like, oh. I think that was a language barrier. And it's like when you do that one time, it's very interesting to see like culture, language, all those things. Like, oh, I was kind of expecting you to be here at this time, or I was kind of expecting. It's like it's a very weird thing, and you're trying to discuss things like, oh, this is what he meant. But somehow, in the magic of professional wrestling, it all clicks and syncs up sometimes. So. I always find that interesting. But yeah, there was a little bit of language things, but they're like, no, I'll just beat the shit out of you. I'll fix everything.
That's international known.
This one had me like not wanting. I was like, I gotta look away. Like, I'm fucking like, honestly, I was like, this is a bad scary movie. Like, legit. I'm like, oh my god. Okay.
But any other thoughts about this match before we move on?
It was good. It's been a real good fucking tournament, man.
Yeah, like I said, like I'm more interested in your reactions to it. But if we've already ruined Andy's mind now, he can't watch.
He's warped.
Yeah, he can't watch Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. Like he can't watch.
He's
that.
desensitized already, very easily.
We got to give him Tournament of Death this year.
Yeah,
that's the only way he's gonna get. Like,
we're gonna take him to one. It just happened like the Tournament of Death 2017 just happened last weekend.
Jesus,
that's the only way. You know, he's gonna see some faces. You know, like that's what he's gotta do. Just see some faces.
We'll try to find that Connor Claxton thing as he talks. That'll probably freak you the fuck out.
Match number 9, IWA World Tag Title match between the Headhunters and Silver King and El Texicano.
I love Silver King.
Silver King from Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
He was Ramses.
Yes, was.
Which one?
He was Ramses. He was the main
the movie
bad guy.
Nacho Libre?
Nacho Libre.
The two like Hispanic dudes. One of them.
Yeah.
Holy fuck! Great movie. Nacho Libre. Wow. Shout out. Yep. Wow.
But I love how the Headhunters can do moonsaults, but they have the laziest Irish whips ever. Like, they just like grab a guy and like, all right, you're running the other side of the ring. Like, just don't even try. But like, like fuck that powerbomb finish.
Yeah,
of this match.
that was real
like
gross.
they just all of that, like just. They're the last people I would like to wrestle ever.
Yeah.
like, for sure.
Oh, when they were flying around though, they just threw their body. It was like holy shit.
Like,
they
it's
could be
scary.
It's scary. Oh yeah, dude,
Yeah.
it's fucking scary. They looked like they looked like they needed money. Like they well, obviously, but it's just like they were putting in work, but they were like Jesus Christ.
But like they don't. Yeah, that's the thing too. Like they were just like, ugh, whatever. Like one of them just really didn't look like he didn't want to be there. But then also too is like they just didn't care about like the people they were wrestling against, which that's what some people like. So whatever.
Very flagrant, unsafe.
Yeah. But match happened. It was clipped. It was originally a 17-minute match. I think
Good. I didn't need 17 minutes of that.
Yeah.
I watched it and fast forward as it is.
I feel like we captured the essence of what this match was. Then moving on.
Just talk about how cool Silver King is. That's really all you need to know.
Yeah, that's all we need to know.
Silver
He was a
King,
Nacho Libre. That's all we needed to know.
That's huge.
Fine enough. And we get to Dan Severn cutting a very heartfelt promo before his NWA World Title match between Dan Severn and Tarzan Goto. Dan Severn walked to the ring by Gypsy Joe.
Oh.
So Gypsy Joe was honored at this event. He was also the referee of like the first two matches. He was thrown around a little bit. So for that. But at this moment in time, Severn is being walked by Gypsy Joe, and he is also the UFC Super Fight champion as well as the NWA title holder, which he held that title for 4 years. And he, as long as he held the Super Fight belt, he always brought the NWA belt to the UFC and the UFC belt to his indie shows out of respect for both of those. Tarzan Goto, I imagine he's got the spot not only just because he's a legendary wrestler in Japan and he defected from FMW to come over for IWA Japan, but he was also probably one of the more Americanized guys on the card. He did spend some time in Kansas City, probably, which were south during Jim Crockett Promotions. And then also, too, he spent some time in Memphis, where he married a female professional wrestler that was trained by the Fabulous Moolah. Married her, brought her over to Japan. He's wrestled in Puerto Rico and Florida. He was a big star in FMW. He was the guy that kind of pioneered the whole, what they refer to as the trash wrestling, but it was really more the hardcore wrestling in Japan with Onita. And then he did the job for one of Onita's many retirement matches, was pissed and said, fuck it, I'm going to be at IWA Japan, and that's why he's here right now. Also a former sumo wrestler. So.
He looks like
There's a couple guys on the card like that's obviously was their kind of way into wrestling, but the way into this match was a fucking slap to Dan Severn's fucking face. Like there's probably a very small handful of people that have just walked up to Dan Severn and slapped him in the face, and an even smaller number of people that have lived to tell the tale.
They got away with it.
I can't. I meant to listen to Dan Severn's Shooter interview before I got on. I just ran out of time, and I just wanted to know what his reaction. Because there's a couple moments in this thing where I feel like it got real and it got intense, but then it kind of gets back to wrestling and part of the plan, and then it got real again, and then we get back to wrestling again.
I bet he legit tried to choke him out at one point.
Yeah, I think that when they zoomed away at one point in time, I have a feeling something like that might have been going on.
I like my favorite part was just the two, obviously the clash of styles, and then when he finally gets him out and starts beating the shit out of him in the crowd. Yeah. And then Severn fucking turns it up and starts throwing chairs everywhere. Yeah. And then he throws out one chair, and that one chair just gets stuck right in the ropes. Sit out perfectly, stuck in the ropes.
And also too, I don't know if you guys noticed, there was like a random old lady at ringside, and I don't know why. Like an American, I don't know if that's like Dan Severn.
Mom.
I don't know if that's Dan
Severn.
Yeah, Dan the Beast Severn only travels with his mom. Like,
you got any chicks you want to bring with you? My mother will be there.
Yeah, before the Judy Bagwell, maybe Dan Severn was a mama's boy as well, like that. I don't know.
But, Mom called and quit for me.
But when you think about like Severn being a major star in the UFC at this time, I mean, this is I guess a precursor to Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather in a sense, But what are your thoughts on this match, Andy?
When I saw Severn, I was like, good God, that guy's beautiful. I didn't know Freddie Mercury wrestled.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, what a mustache, man.
Motherfucker.
I was like, damn, I can't take my eyes off that dude. I mean, yeah, he was cool. Yeah, that was cool.
I thought they were about to hug at the end, and they just start fighting again.
Yeah, like I thought they were gonna hug it out a little bit after this war, but like nope. But I tell you, the match that they wrestled, like that's the only thing they could have done.
Yeah.
After seeing everything they've seen, you know, yeah, poor Andy Van's like, I want somebody to bleed. Tarzan Gota's like, I can fix that. Like,
I bleed for you.
But yeah, I remember Dan Severn at this time because I actually saw him fight not too long after this at a UFC event, I think, or it was a local MMA event against Pat Militech in Davenport, Iowa. And Dan Severn, I think, runs about 240, 250 at this time, and he wrestled Pat Militech. He fought Pat Militech, and Pat Militech was like 171. This was like during the early days of like mixed martial arts, where like you're kind of like barnstorming a little bit.
Weird matches, like weird matchups, like big fat dude, little guy that can like kick all day, or I don't know, whatever. Like
exactly,
yeah,
it was like
blood
that,
sportish.
It was like
weird,
that, but this was like just after they went off of pay per view and they couldn't be on, so they were holding these really small events, and this was an outdoor event, like in a park in Bettendorf, Iowa.
Was it a fight or wrestling? I think it was.
There was a fight between Severin and Militech, and Militech I think had a school this time. Like he was one of the first people to have like MMA schools. And, like, you know, Militech was from the Quad City area. And then Dan the Beast Severin, like, this big guy. And I just remember a lot of the match going to a point where, like, Severin just had a hold of him and Militech was in guard. But then, like, the last 30 seconds of the fight, like, Militech got out and fucking started lighting him up and taking some blows. And then it ended in, like, a time limit draw. And with a decision of, I don't even know if they announced a decision, but obviously Severin would have won. But, like, that was the early days where, like, you just had, like, wrestlers throwing fucking haymakers. And you had fucking boxers doing actual boxing, but as soon as they went in the ground, they were like, oh, fuck, I'm screwed. You know?
What do I do?
This was before everybody could do everything.
Yeah.
So, like, the whole event was, like, really fucking weird and kind of fucking boring because you just want to see people get fucked up. But, like, yeah, when I think of Dan Severn, I always think of that, like that would never happen. A 170-pound guy taking on a fucking 240, 250-pound Dan the Beast Severin in a fucking park in Bettendorf, Iowa. Like, and we look where we're at right now.
Yeah,
and
I gotta watch that.
You know, it's fucking crazy. So, but yeah, and it just, you know, fucking match is great. It's just out of fucking control. So, yeah, I'd probably have to do some more research on what he thought of it. But speaking of out of control, we're now at our main event, match number 11. Barbed wire rope, exploding barbed wire boards, and exploding ring time bomb death match. With Cactus Jack taking on Terry Funk.
He'll fucking
Andy,
do it if
what
you
are your
fucking
thoughts on seeing this spectacle?
So, I was watching the thing, and I, like, Googled people. I Googled Terry Funk, and then I was like, holy shit, this is a vortex I'm now entering. And then I was like, oh, hardcore wrestling. And then it was like, there was a picture of a cage with the barbed wire, and I was like, oh, they're doing this now? I just, like, looked at it, and I was like, holy fucking shit. Like, he's got the boots on, he's kicking them. Here comes Terry Funk again after no shower, just like, you know, like the smell, you can see the flies, like,
Well, listen,
oh my god,
he's just gonna get dirty again.
I
I
know, but I'm just like, the smell, I can't imagine that singlet.
It's like, why would I take a shower before I set up a ring?
No,
you know what
I mean, look,
like,
the guy was awesome. I love him. I'm just like, holy fuck, like that is just so real. Like I can't, like that shower must be the best shower of his life after that, you know, the whole thing's over with.
Yeah.
So I was like,
takes those boots off finally. He's like,
yeah.
Just that feel. But yeah, like Cactus Jack is having this match, and like 8 months away from like the biggest run of his life, where he goes to WWF and becomes Mankind. Yeah. So like he's less than a year away from his big break, and he's doing this, but
killing himself.
But he was probably safe from that time bomb.
Yeah.
Which were just fireworks.
Yeah. I love when it actually went off, and there was a big explosion, and like Mick wasn't even in the ring, and Terry's just kind of like.
Yeah, Terry's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, should I fucking sell this? Like, I don't fucking know. I mean, I'll sell this fucking bump into a ladder that almost kills Cactus Jack, and then I'm gonna lose the match. Like, but like,
the look of his like, the fuck?
well, and the thing is too, like time bomb matches, like the one I always think of is Onita versus Hayabusa.
Uh-huh.
That one. Like, there was, like, debris in the ring. Like, I remember there being a cloud of fucking dust over the ring when that happened. So, like, for just, like, a couple of sparklers to fucking go off. Because, like, it was in the same arena, too. Like, a couple years earlier, they saw an explosion match that was way fucking crazier than what just fucking happened. Like, they just shot off a couple bottle rockets, and it's just like, okay, whatever. We'll go in there.
Some Hoosker do's, some Hoosker don'ts.
Yep.
So did you know that was like the subtitles were like, you know, that it was like the thing comes up, it's like this guy versus this guy, but it's all subtitles. So I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So I mean, maybe it's, I don't know. Before the match, it's like, this is a match with the fucking barbed wire exploding this, exploding that. It's just like, did they define the weapons, or is it like?
I don't think so. I think all that information was just their name and then their like height and weight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you don't necessarily know until it's over.
Yeah,
what they're gonna do,
until what they
or
just
don't
start doing.
So like,
You don't really know for sure that they're just going to shoot off a couple bottle rockets, and that's the time bomb explosion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where that information is. There will be just bottle rockets going off as an explosion, just as a note. But this finish, though, Terry stumbles into the ladder. Mick almost loses a fucking eye on landing on the barbed wire. And then he just pins Terry Funk.
You fucked me up so bad I just beat you.
Yeah, like, I have to believe that Terry must be injured.
Yeah.
And that's why, because the last shot of this whole thing is him going out on an ambulance with his arms as straight as possible. Like,
yeah.
Like, I have to believe, like, something must have happened. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I just love that Terry's like walking out with his arms as straight as possible and like, yeah, here's my arms as straight as possible. Terry. Just getting into an ambulance.
God damn it, I'm dying, Hiroshi-san.
still not showering.
Nope.
Still no shower.
Yeah, he went to the hospital. He didn't shower for another couple hours.
God, I couldn't imagine. But they looked like the ref was like, boom, boom, and then they was like, should have kicked out, but it was like, oh, he hit it, wait. And then the ref was like, is it over?
Yes, this is the pin. Oh.
And then, of course, Mick's post-match promo. Great. But, yeah, just fucking great show.
Yeah.
Super fun.
You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, we do some bad ones. We can do some good ones on here.
Yeah.
But we,
There was still stuff to talk about.
yeah,
Things to joke about.
plenty of fucking crazy shit going on. Like Leatherface running through the fucking crowd, and then fucking taking a chainsaw to Terry Funk's head. Like,
Just right out the gate.
yeah, just fucking right out of the gate. But yeah, Andy, like, after watching a show like this, do you want to see more wrestling like this, or do you want to see more wrestling in
I'm
general?
curious to be like, what is like, does people have a safe word? I mean, like how do you know? It's okay. It's a fucking. He's gonna pick up a hammer, and then somebody's gonna run with a chair, and then you're gonna hit with the like flip over. Like, how much planning? Like, what the fuck is going on? My mind's blown.
I mean, a lot of this stuff has to be on the spot. Like
Yes.
this stuff.
I mean, man, respect, dude. I'm like, wow, dude, that's crazy.
So we talked about it a moment ago. Go ahead.
Just wrestling in general. No, that was it. I was just trailing off it.
So we talked about a moment ago the Connor Claxton. They did the Tournament of the Death Match 2017, and they had a full size trampoline set up, but instead of the actual part where you would jump, they had barbed wire just ran from all the springs, and one guy fell off a truck and onto this trampoline, and this trampoline is right here. All barbed wire. All barbed wire. Just bouncing on barbed wire. That's modern day.
Now that's where we've pushed that this show was the
Begat
epicenter, and which basically started us down this path to something like that happening.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that evolution?
I love it. I mean, it's it's like, hey, you can do whatever you want, just as long as people know what they're signing up for.
As a doctor, you're not concerned with people's well-being or safety, or you're just like, man, I can't.
You know what, man? Like people, people smoke. People drink. They do this. They do that.
It's
having fun.
It's their vice. It's their thing.
Yeah, well, it's show business too. You know, I mean, I almost compared it to this. Like, a wrestler, you come off or anybody that's like getting crazy hurt, come off bleeding. This, that. Well, I mean, you're doing comedy and it's all in your head. So you're psychologically you're fucked or something. Like there's 100 ways to be fucked, and it's sometimes you can see it when there's blood, and sometimes it's like, damn, that dude's fucked forever just based on what happened on stage for 30 minutes in his own mind. Like, it's
so people could create their own scars mentally or physically.
Yeah, not necessarily, gonna be what's on the outside, but it's like, and it's all perception. It's weird, like, and it got me in people's heads, like, well, what, all these people are watching you, and, like, you got to make it look real, and at the same time, like, are you hurt? At what point is it, like, there's a little bit of acting in there, but, like, then I turned on this New Jack guy, and it's like, he pulls out a knife and starts stabbing people, or, like, it's like, at what point is it, where's the line, Well,
that's the thing, it's the questions, and you always need, like, 5% doubt is what I've always been taught, to get people to believe that it's real. Like, just need 5% doubt to people go, what was that? What was that? But you as an educated individual, you're a very smart man. Like, every time I've had conversations with you, I've always been blown away by your intelligence and your thoughtfulness and stuff.
And neurotic,
like and you're crazy too. But also too, sometimes people, especially, average people or laymen's, that they will look at somebody who's doing this deathmatch type of stuff, like, they'll look down upon them. Like, how do you perceive these people as far as, like, this guy's being dumb with his body, or do you're like, no, this is cool, man, or do you see the things wheels turning?
I like the showmanship, and these are real men.
It's just them putting their art out there in a different way.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was always very big, like, anti-hardcore. I was never a fan of it until getting to know more guys that do hardcore nowadays. I kind of get it more, and I see where his place is in wrestling and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, and that's, for me as a comedy guy, like, that's the thing that differentiates me, but then it paints me in a corner that people kind of want to see the laughs. Yeah. And then when I get pushed into a situation like, oh, we need a really good match, I get nervous because I'm out of my comfort zone. Yeah. Because I have a certain corner that I like to play in, and now I'm outside of that. Yeah. And then also, too, like, those hardcore guys, they get put in such a corner as well that sometimes their fans want to see that, and they don't deliver that, then there's less expectations.
And those fans will shit on you in a heartbeat.
Yeah, they'll turn
on you faster than anything.
Because they're very hard and jaded, because they're watching your stuff because they're hard and jaded about pro wrestling. So, like, they've got it much harder than I think the comedy guys, but I definitely understand that you have to tailor make your style to be different than everybody else. Because not everybody can do the fucking flips. Yeah.
Some of us fall on fucking staples or fall on thumbtacks.
And it's just kind of the way it is. But, Andy, any thoughts or takeaways from this show that you got out of it? Or questions? There's an open forum for you to say or ask.
I mean, like, it's like, I want to almost see, like, people's life, like these two Japanese guys with their tucked in pants and their white shirts, and it's just like, I want to see, like, the progression of life after that day when they took 100 staples. And it's like,
where are they now?
Like, where are they now? It makes me really curious about these guys. Like, they're.
What do you do when you're done being a deathmatch guy?
Yeah, and where did you start? And, like, it's crazy, man.
Well, and I think Mick Foley's probably the most interesting of that. Like, his progression from this, like I said, he's 8 months away from being Mankind. Yeah. Taking crazy bumps on WWF television, having these unbelievable matches, being thrown off the cage by The Undertaker, being choke slammed through the cage to the mat below, like, taking bumps that kill normal people. And then all of a sudden, like, seeing the reaction of his kids take a fucking steel chair to his head. He's like, I need to change who I am. And he does more comedy, and he becomes more of a comedic presence and more of a character that just comes out and cuts promos. And now he's a storyteller. But, like, I know for a while, like, he was struggling carrying his weight around for a while. Now that he's lost a bit of weight, he's walking around much better. like I said, he was at 300 pounds for a while, but I think he's lost almost 100 right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably hovering around 200 pounds, and he's moving around a lot better. But yeah, his body and moving around is very limited for the things that he did, which the fact that he's actually able to move is remarkable as it is. 'Cause, I mean, you saw him come off the top onto the ground with no padding whatsoever.
Just straight to the ground.
And he did that every night, every time he was on TV, every pay-per-view for years, several years, probably almost decades.
Yeah, I mean, I hear about, like, people have issues with, like, prescription drugs and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God.
Of course
like,
you do.
where's the heroin? Like, walking back to the locker room, like, all right, give me some heroin. Like,
Yeah.
this is
I understand why.
crazy. Like, people do die, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're going past a limit, but it's like awesome because on your taxes you get to deduct, a staple gun. You know what I mean? It's like, well,
murder weapons are deducted.
Yeah.
Murder weapons.
Did you use that in the? Well, I guess I got to use that fucking thing I bought in the ring. It's fun, It lightens everything up.
Yeah.
Which is
so you
really
can look
fun.
at it. You can look at it. Like I said, like you're a doctor. You come from a family of doctors. You don't look upon it. You're like, oh, this is fun. This is enjoyment. This is entertainment.
it's fun.
There's not a sense of looking down your nose or a sense of
These
disgust.
fucking mooks.
Some of I think there's obviously there's a spectrum to everything,
Yeah.
and you can see some of the hate in some of these people, and you're like, oh fuck that guy, but it's almost like you have to be that good at your art that you don't lose your cool when somebody fucking like, oh, he just broke my nose with that punch when he's not supposed to break my nose.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna get mad and I'm gonna escalate it when it's just like, it's gonna fucking happen. You're gonna be okay. Like,
I'm sure Dan Severn had that conversation inside his head multiple times during that match.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's okay. I'm Dan to be Severn. I'll fuck him up if I need to.
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Strike
You
one,
just
motherfucker.
stay in the pocket almost,
Yeah.
Just keep keep entertaining people in the right, and not lose your cool. That is ultimately like, I play a little bit of judo and like, I have 18-year-old kids fuck me up, and I'm like, I'll lose my cool, and that's when you get thrown on your head. And that's when you fuck up, is when you get angry. Just like with, comedy or anything, somebody in the crowd says some shit to you, and I'm fucking better than you. When it's just like, say something funny, make everybody laugh. And then it's, we taking the energy back to like where it should be. We're having fun. This is a crazy human experience. We're all going to die, but let's not get mad and like hate each other and make this miserable. Let's just laugh about shit.
Yeah.
Now let's enjoy some death matches.
Yeah.
Let's see some faces.
Hey guys. Let's just calm down for a minute and go watch some death matches.
Let's make sweet love and just see some faces.
I got a little hooked on it. I was like, man, fuck this. I was like, working online. I'm like, click over the death match. Just like, God, I want some more. Oh my God, what's gonna happen?
Clearly,
next?
if you're looking up New Jack.
Clearly, I most certainly can describe you.
We will trade services, sir.
We most certainly will do that. But Andy, before we get out of here, if there's anything you want to plug, let people know where they can get in touch with you. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Tell people right now. You have a live microphone in front of you.
Andy Vanderveer at Twitter. Check me out. Andrew Vanderveer, Andy Van, Andrew Van. Let's see. Doing Fox and the Hound on the 23rd. I think it's North Lake Mall.
Okay.
With Julio Hennessy.
Okay.
We feature on that. And just catch me out at fucking doing mics and shit. And I record a podcast sometimes, like Monkey Vision,
Okay.
Nothing,
Andy?
YouTube channel, all that bullshit.
Okay. All right.
Look at it if you want to laugh.
All right. Sounds good. Zane, what do
We'll
you
judge the
got?
shit out of you. Whatever you want to do.
This is going to go up this Thursday to let you know.
This weekend I have Milestone Wrestling in Hickory, North Carolina on Saturday the 24th. And then AML versus TNA in Hickory on the 25th.
Okay. Is that a Sunday?
That is a Sunday.
That is a Sunday, because also this Sunday I'll be wrestling for Northeast Wrestling in Bethany, Connecticut against MJF.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah, I like
He's a good
him
kid.
too. I do too. So I hate what I'm going to have to do to him. So
I'm going to have to tap into my inner Cactus Jack.
yeah, I might have to.
On old Feinstein.
I might have to. But anyways, as always, guys, if we made a mistake or we need to correct something, make sure you just yell at me at Twitter. I mean, that's obviously
Like all these Asian names we fucked up.
yeah. Like if I mispronounce an Asian name, I'm sorry. I didn't take the second alpha brain pill to focus in on it. So any mistake that I've made, and if you just want to bitch at me on Twitter,
Whatever.
Join the club, whatever. I'm available at Manscout Manning. If you want to have an actual like thought-provoking email about something, go ahead and email me at jake@sslshow.com. Make sure you look up at howdidthisgetbooked.com. That's where we have t-shirts for the show, also updates on upcoming episodes as well as past episodes and where you can subscribe and follow, which those places are iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud. Make sure you write a review on iTunes and Stitcher. That really helps out. And please subscribe as well. All those things really help out. Could really use some more reviews in the review sections, especially on iTunes. As always, this has been another edition of How Did This Get Booked?
Woo!